What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the full 90. It's time for Serie A Week 22 predictions. And despite a scandalous week last week with some of the performances we saw, Atalanta, I'm looking at you, we still remain top 100 in the world, top 10 in the UK in terms of Serie A predictions. And it is the series where we get the most perfect scores, getting another one last week. And it was actually a 0-0, which is always a nice perfect score to get. So if you do enjoy this content, please do drop a like if you do, because it's a football video. A football will fly across the like button. It's really cool. You should try it out. Thank you so much for 52,000 subscribers. If you missed the launch of my 50k sub series yesterday, which was Europa League predictions, then go and check it out after watching this video. So make sure you get your predictions down in the comments below for Serie A. And with that being said, let's get straight in to another Friday night fixture. And it's another fixture that involves Pisa. As you see at the top there, you can see all my accolades. Like I said, top 100 in the world, 7th in the UK. Of course, first home and dry in my group with all of the correct scores that we get this season. But we're kicking it off with Inter Milan up against Pisa. Pisa, lowly Pisa in the bottom, the relegation places of the Serie A. Inter Milan at the top. Pisa are going to get relegated. But what a scandalous result that was for Atalanta. It just looked like the players weren't even trying. For the first half, Pisa absolutely dominated Atalanta. Atalanta then go and take a 1-0 lead going into the final minutes of the game, only to concede an equaliser just a few minutes later. It was an abhorrent fixture. I literally said, if Atalanta don't win this, Serie A, the ref, they need to be investigated. That's how bad it was. Atalanta were winning all their games. They hadn't conceded a goal in about 5 fixtures, and Pisa go there and play them off the park. It was an outrageous result, and it's not going to happen again. Inter Milan are going to win this one. They obviously played Arsenal for you in the Champions League last night. For me, that is later on today. I don't know how they got on. As an Arsenal fan, I hope Arsenal win, but maybe I could see Inter Milan getting something for sure. But they're going to beat Pisa here. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win. No messing about. They would see what Pisa did to Atalanta. Inter cannot allow it. Only the one draw with Napoli, winning all the other games. 3-0. The tip is going to be Inter Milan win to 0 at odds of 1.72. I'm not going to mess around with overs or anything like that. Look at AC Milan Lecce. They beat them 1-0. Sometimes win to 0 is just what you need to go with. Surely, there is... Right, I said it with Atalanta, but there is actually no way. There is no way Pisa go to the San Siro and walk away with anything other than 0 points. Perhaps they score, right? But they're not going to get anything from this game. 3-0 to Inter Milan. After this, it is Como up against Torino. Torino winless, losing their last 3 games. 2-0 to Roma, Atalanta and Udinese. Roma with another 2-0 win. Brilliant from them. But Como battered Lazio 3-0. We did tip Como draw no bet over on the Patreon at odds of 1.83, so that was huge. But Como absolutely smacked Lazio. They're going to beat Torino here, in my opinion. I'm going to say 2-1, and the tip is Como to win at odds of 1.66. We move on now to Fiorentina up against Cagliari. I called it when Fiorentina were on either 3 points or 6 points. They were way away from safety in the Serie A. I said they're going to make the great escape. They're not going to get relegated. And look at their recent form. 8 points from their last 4 games, and they are now out of the relegation zone. These 3 are the teams that are going to get relegated. Now that Fiorentina have finally done what I've said and finally made it out of the relegation zone, this is how it's going to stay. Lecce, Pisa and Verona, they are the worst 3 teams in the Serie A, and as a result, they are going to go down. And Fiorentina against Cagliari, I think Fiorentina can win this one. Don't get me wrong, Cagliari got a brilliant win against Juventus. Against the run of play, Juventus should have got something from that game, but it is what it is. It wasn't as mafia-based as the Napoli draw the other week and the Atalanta draw against Pisa. I think that was just a poor performance from Juve. But I think Fiorentina are going to win this one. I'm going to say 2-0. Quite a comfortable win for Fiorentina. And I actually quite like the odds of Fiorentina to win at odds of 1.65. I think Fiorentina at home should be able to get the win here. After this, it is Lecce up against Lazio. Lecce, as I said, losing to AC Milan 1-0. They lost to Inter 1-0. They lost to Parma 2-1. They lost to Roma 2-0. I think they're going to lose to Lazio, who need to bounce back, by the way, after getting spanked by Como 3-0. Before that, only losing to Napoli, unbeaten in the other games. I'm going for another 1-0 loss for Lecce. The tip is Lazio to win at odds of 2.05. I think those odds are pretty good. I think Lecce are bad, and Lazio should get the win here. They should take advantage of that team. They're pushing for a European spot. It's not going to be easy with the likes of Bologna and Como above them currently. Lazio need to put the work in for the rest of the season if they're going to get a European spot. After this, it is Sassuolo up against Cremonese, a battle of, well, the teams that are winless in their last 7 games, but they had such a good start to the season. Cremonese, of course, handing AC Milan their only loss of the year at the start of the season on the first match day. Both these teams aren't going to get Europe, right? They're a long way off that, but they're not going to get relegated either. Granted, they could be dragged in. They are only 6 points ahead of Lecce, but I personally think that is an insurmountable gap for the likes of Lecce and Pisa and Verona. So, neither of these teams, it's almost like they already have nothing to play for. Just going to settle into higher, like bottom half of the table. Probably settle in around 12th, 13th, 11th, where they are now. So, I can't really, I can't really separate these two teams. So I'm just going to go with the home form and say that Sassuolo bounce back with a win because they haven't won in so long. They've lost 3 in a row. Cremonese, on the other hand, picking up a couple of draws. They lost to Juve 5-0, but they got the 0-0 with Verona we predicted. I'm going to say 2-1 to Sassuolo, but in case it is a 0-0, a 1-1, or even a low-scoring Sassuolo win, the tip is going to be Sassuolo double chance and under 3.5 goals. The odds are 1.57. I don't think Cremonese go away and win here. I don't think there's going to be tons and tons of goals. So, therefore, Sassuolo double chance and under makes a lot of sense. After this, it is Atalanta up against Parma. Atalanta have a big game in the Champions League at home that I do think they can actually go on and win. And they're against Parma, who got the draw against Genoa 0-0. I was quite surprised that was 0-0. I predicted a draw, but I didn't think it would be goalless. Atalanta, if we forget that Pisa, you've got all these results just winning to 0. They are a decent team. They're going to win this one. I'll go for a 2-1 win, and the tip is Atalanta to win at 1.42. The odds are terrible. I wouldn't say I've banished Atalanta to the no bet list, but my goodness, are they close. They're so weird. They beat Chelsea in the Champions League. They're in 5th in the Champions League right now, and then they go and draw 1-1 with Pisa, who haven't won in God knows how long and will be relegated from the Serie A. So I don't understand it, but I think they should bounce back with a win here against Parma. After this, it's Genoa up against Bologna. Genoa tend to score goals, as you can see from these here. They've scored in 5 of their last 7, coming off the back of a 0-0 draw with Parma. Bologna not in the greatest of form, slipping down the table a little bit. I'm going to go for a bit of a shock here. I mean, maybe it's not a shock. The bookies can't separate them. I think a lot of people will assume Bologna win. You look at these two teams. Genoa have won 4 this season. Bologna have won 8. That should tell you enough. Bologna should win this, and they should win this 1-0. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. The tip is both teams to score at odds of 2. I think there's a lot of value to be had in Genoa scoring a goal. So both teams to score it is. After this, it is Juventus up against Napoli. If Juventus are serious about trying to get Champions League football via the league, they need to look at this as a game that they can win. Obviously, they're playing Benfica in the Champions League. Napoli have a very important game in the Champions League against Copenhagen as well. Winner, you could argue, of that game probably qualifies for the playoffs. If you lose, you risk getting eliminated from the Champions League altogether. So this is a tough game for Napoli. I think Juventus will want to win, but I'm just going to go honours even and go for a 1-1 draw. The tip is going to be both teams to score and under 3.5 goals at odds of 3.1. I think this could be 2-1 either way, but as I'm setting on a 1-1 draw, those are the only 3 scorelines where this tip can come in. So that's why it makes sense to go for that. After this, it's another massive game. It's Roma up against AC Milan. I really wanted to pick a winner for this fixture because Roma, of course, they've done it again. They won 2-0. I correctly predicted this 2-0. I correctly predicted that 2-0. And I went a little bit different here and I said 1-0. But they won 2-0 again. AC Milan beat Lecce 1-0. They beat Como 3-1, which was a very good result, by the way. I just can't separate the two. I thought about a 1-0 AC Milan win. I thought about a 1-0 Roma win. I can't separate them as much as I want to. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. And again, the tip is both teams to score and under 3.5 goals. This time at lower odds of 2.87 because they don't think it's going to be very high scoring at all. After this is Verona up against Udinese. Udinese lost out to Inter Milan, only the 1 goal. Verona got the 0-0 draw with Cremonese. They're not getting many points, but hey, maybe a point's good enough. I'm going for a back-to-back double donuts for Verona, 0-0, and the tip is going to be under 2.5 goals at odds of 1.53. So there's a summary of my picks, generally favouring the home side, unless it's Lecce, of course, and then the end of the game week, I'm predicting a fair few stalemates, all pretty low scoring. even Inter Milan, Pisa could be 1-0. Inter don't care the goal difference. If they win the game, you know, the title is in their hands. They just need to win. So maybe 3-0 is a bit high scoring, but I think there are going to be a lot of low scoring games this week in Serie A. So maybe unders is something you should look at. So that's going to do it for me in this video. Make sure you drop your predictions down in the comments below. Whilst you're down there, flashing up on the screen is everyone that is supporting me over on the Patreon. If you want exclusive members, tips and accumulators, a shout out in every single video, as well as my League Un predictions, just like you saw for the Serie A in this video, you get access to giveaways, messaging to me and all that stuff. If that's something you'd be interested in, click the top link in the description, head over to patreon.com/thefull90. But with that being said, I hope you did enjoy this video. Drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video very soon.